Hey guys, what's up? This is Nate from WASD20, and we're getting back to the map making series today. We're going to be talking about how to name things on your map. We'll be doing some informal kind of world building as we go here, and a lot of it's going to be on the fly, a little bit fast and loose. Hopefully you can learn from some of my tips of how I come up with names for things for tabletop role-playing games and world building in general. So we're going to get down to the map. Before we do that, I also just want to show off the new Brigade Con shirt that came in the mail today. It's a nice shirt. Alright, let's get down to the map. Alright, so in last time's episode we did the forests, and I did start to label a little more of the places in this world of Inshar, but there's still a lot left of that to do. So that's why we're going to need to generate some names. There's a couple ways I do this. First off, I want to give a shout out to Barker from Be a Better Game Master. He had a 5-minute Frenzy video in which he talked about his style of coming up with place names, especially based on different races. And also, places depending on race tended to end in a certain way. So with him, dwarf was core. Anyway, you can go watch that. I'll put the link in the description below. I recommend that one too. He's got some really good ideas on naming places. But for my purposes, I've usually actually used a lot of random name generators or just taken names that exist in other places and tweak them. So I'll take names from Lord of the Rings or other fantasy authors that I enjoy, and I'll just tweak them a little bit. I loved the Song of Albion trilogy. is one of my favorite book series by Stephen Lawhead. And, I just kind of, for this part of the world, I knew I wanted that to be inspired by some of his books, give it a sort of an ancient Celtic feel. And so I kind of got some names that had, to me at least, a little bit of a Celtic flavor. And I can go through his book for some name ideas. So you can take that. You can, take one of your favorite books. Right now I'm reading the Wheel of Time series. And just take some names and give them a little tweak. Twist them a little and mash them together. That's one way that I really enjoy coming up with names. Another way that we're going to look at here is just using a couple of fantasy name generators. So let's head over to the computer and we'll take a look at a couple that I use pretty frequently. Hey, look, it's a computer. All right, we're on fantasynamegenerators.com, and this is one of my favorite tools for generating names. Again, just like I said with the other names, I often will take these and then I'll tweak them, I'll twist them, and all that stuff. But yeah, there's just some great inspiration here. So you can do real names, you can do place names, fantasy names, and all kinds of other stuff. And I've just got a list here of some things I came up with, and I'm going to try to add a couple more here. So we're going to try to first find some Elven city names. So I can do that by going to places, and then town and city names. Oh, I lost it. Let's try again. Places, town and city names, Elven city names. There we go. All right, so we've got some Elven city names here. And we could take one of these, or we could, again, twist it a little bit, tweak it. Let's try some more. All right, Flathus. Okay, so let's take that one for example, and let's come up with Lathus, Themar, just like that. So I took one word inspired from Flathus, and then Ophan Themar, and I took Themar from that one, right? So that's just an example of how you can do it. Lathus Themar. Sounds like a good Elven name. All right, or you could do anything here. You could take different nationalities. Sometimes that's really great. I know that I really like the Sumerian names, and I used a lot of these in my homebrew world. So let's see if we can find a human town that would have a Sumerian feel to it. Atab. There we go. It's simple. Sounds a little bit exotic from a Western standpoint. Atab. Or get female names. Ningal. So we can take that Ningalum. There we go. Or we could easily take a human's name too. Let's try this. Fantasy names, and let's just look up medieval names. Duke Gillet. Okay, so we could take Gillet's Ridge as a town name, right? I really like using people's names in towns too. It was named after a person, right? This town is the town of Gillet's Ridge. So there you go. Those are some human towns. Let's come up with a lake name. I see Emperor Dressed there. I like Drestel Pond, we'll say. Let's take Sembert Lake let's change it. I'm looking at Yesembert down there. Lake Sembra. There we go. I like that. Now we're going to go for some mountain ranges. So let's just actually look up, straight up, mountain ranges. The Mighty Pinnacle, the Bronze Pinnacle. Okay, so we want something Dick Peaks. I don't know if I like that one. But we could try something like, I do like peaks. The Mighty Peaks. Okay. Maybe a little bit cliche, but Varlt, Varlt's Rise, right? Varlt's Rise. Oh, that's Vralet, but anyway, I tweaked it unintentionally. All right, so you get the idea. Taking some of these names, Donjon is another great one that has lots of possibilities. So ship names. Let's try some ship names here. It's working. The Jewel of Utopia, the Nautilus, the Runa, the Spirit of Celestia. Anyway, you get the idea. Donjon is just an excellent resource for all kinds of things RPG related, but it also has some pretty good name generators in addition to all the other stuff that Donjon offers for DMs and RPGers. All right, let's get back to my actual map now. All right, my friends, I'm really sorry, but I had a recording mishap, and I did quite a bit of mapping, and it did not actually record as I thought it was doing. So that stinks, but we'll survive. I'm going to go through and walk you through what I did here and why I did it, and it'll be fine. We're going to have a great time. All right, so anyway, I did name some of these things, and some of them I had named previously, and some of them I came up with just kind of on the spot here in the last few minutes. The city of Marinth and Logrif are places where I've actually, had games there, and so I have some good ideas about those places. But the rest of the map is pretty much a blank canvas for me. And my tendency is to want to say, okay, this place has this and this, but I don't want to overdo it yet because I want to build a little bit more organically. As I am running games in this world, I will come up with more ideas about these places, and I'll let that happen more organically. But I do know that I want an elven city, and that became Gilana here. And I like the idea of this place being having sort of a Celtic feel to it. It's kind of an ancient Celtic, not particularly warlike, but kind of a little bit more primitive, I guess you would say, primitive and human. Some of the just a note on the materials I used to do some of the lettering and the cities. I got these really nice Pigma Micron pens, and so those have been working out pretty well for me. I have several different size tips, and also I just wanted to thank people for their support because it was due to the AdSense money and the money from my Amazon affiliate. Which I'll put a link to in the description below. You can find it on my website under the Support Me tab. There are some ways you can support, and that support, actually enables me to buy stuff like this. And I also got some drawing pencils. I got some cool dip pens. I got this excellent book, which I think I might have shown before on the channel. But yeah, your support enables me to get some of this stuff that directly goes to improving the channel. So thank you very much. All right, but I used those pens to kind of darken in these cities and do the lettering. Now, just a couple notes here on names. Using cardinal directions is kind of a nice idea. So the West Reach Sea, or colors sometimes, can be a nice idea as well. Using cardinal directions, I think, really lends a feeling of authenticity because we really use them all the time in the real world to name places. Right, so the West Reach Sea, or you could even I could have gone Western Inshar, right, or the Southern Peaks or something like that. I don't know. I could name this mountain range, right? So you get the idea. Another thing to keep in mind here as you're placing cities and towns is the locations of cities and towns should be in strategic locations, right? So we have a small city here on the mouth of the river on the sea. The elven city is going to be in the middle of the forest, and that's just the way the elves are, right? The dwarven city is going to be in the mountains. So yeah, I'm stereotypical and tropey and all that terrible stuff, but yeah, that's the way I like it, all right? And Marinth here is on a lake, so this is a strategic location. Brickdale is on the water. Orban is like on the water, and it has this big bay right here. So strategic locations are going to be important for cities. That just makes it realistic and authentic. The spacing of stuff is also something to think about here. So I know that there's a town in here called Redmire, and yet I felt like it was too crowded already with Lawgriff and Marinth right here. I didn't want to put it there. So I'm just going to leave it off this map. If I make a map that zooms in on this area more, which I do hope to do, then it'll show up. But for now, I don't need to put everything on here. Maybe I can just put a dot right there for now, or something, kind of a placeholder. But yeah, and I'm not going to overworld build here. I'm going to say, yep, there could be more cities and towns that I'll put here later, but for now, I'm just going to leave it. All right. The way that I do my cities, you will notice, is generally my cities are 2 towers. Okay, a smaller city might be only 1 tower. A town is going to look a little bit more like a house, like with a pointy roof and all that. And yeah, I do, 2 towers and little flags. Now that is an idea I got from the Empire of Leather map, which was just a fantasy map I downloaded. But yeah, I just do 2 towers, and I will kind of do a little, almost eye, like a big fat eye, letter I that is. And, darken that in. You could leave a little window. On some of them, I did that on one of them. So anyway, I'm not going to do that on this. But yeah, then little flags. You can make your flags pointy if you want to, like that. And then connect it right here, maybe right here. Maybe you can even make a little arch there. So you get the idea. It's 2 towers, and it's starting to look a little bit more like a castle if I arch that. But anyway, you get the idea. And you can vary that up. Sometimes you might have one that has pointy roofs there. Okay, sometimes you might have windows, like I said. Sometimes this might be all solid here, or you might even add more out here, like I did for my dwarven city. Made it a little wider, more of kind of a fortified look to it. That's just how I do my cities. My elven city has the pointy peaks and a little more elegant looking, in my mind at least. And the way I look at this is I'm just doing icons. I'm doing symbols. This is not actually what the cities might look like, but it's an icon for what a city is in my world. Some people will get more realistic and detailed, but for my purposes, I just try to keep it simple, and I like that style. Now, in terms of my lettering style, I got a little messy, and I messed up here because I had this webcam and microphone in my face, and it was a little hard. But I messed up on some of the lettering there and there. One thing I'll be doing in the very near future is an entire video just about lettering. Not that I'm an expert, but I'll share kind of some things I've learned and some important things I've learned from this book that I think you can apply to your maps. And there's some mistakes I made. For example, the fact that I did this all in pen before made it so that I couldn't really leave space around some of the lettering. I might have wanted to write this across the mountains, but I kind of had to find an open space. Same with a lot of these. So that's one thing that I'll be doing in the future, is doing everything in pencil first, and then doing the names so that I can then ink up to the names and leave a little bit of space there. I really like the way that looks, and that's one thing I learned from the book. So that is just a little bit on naming things and placing towns and cities. Next up, we're going to be doing lettering, as I said, and then I'm also going to be doing other sorts of geographical features. How would you do a swamp? How would you do a desert, a volcano? How would you do, I don't know, all these things, a ridge or a valley or a canyon. So I'll be kind of covering some of that stuff in a future video. Even if I don't put all those sorts of things on this map, I do want to make sure I cover some of those things. All right. That's going to be it for this one. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm sorry you didn't get the footage of me actually drawing this stuff, but yeah, I appreciate it. And everybody take care. Happy world building, happy mapping, and happy gaming. Talk to you soon.